Welcome back to Management Voice, the audio edition. In our last episode, we explored resilience, how India absorbs external shocks through gold and energy strategy. Today, we shift to a harder question: reform. Reform isn't comfortable. It's politically risky, often controversial, and always demands courage. Yet without it, nations stagnate. Dr. C. Santhakumar K. takes us through India's reform history. From the Green Revolution to the 1991 liberalisation to today's unfinished agenda. His question: will India's leaders seize the moment or let opportunity slip away? Mr. Jackson David C. examines the immediate pressures, US tariff escalations, Federal Reserve policy shifts, and India's strategic response through GST reform. Two perspectives, one theme. India stands at a crossroads between bold action and hesitation. Let's begin. At the cusp of history, will India reform or hesitate? Dr. C. A. Santhakumar K. opens with a principle. Reforms are never born out of comfort. They require conviction, courage, and political will. And every serious reform in India's history has come at a price. The pattern repeats across decades. The 1960s, India faced famine, dependent on US food aid. Indira Gandhi chose the Green Revolution despite critics calling it risky. Within a decade, India went from food deficient to food surplus. 1991, foreign reserves barely covered weeks of imports. P.V. Narasimha Rao, heading a fragile government, launched liberalisation with Dr. Manmohan Singh. The Bombay Club resisted. His own party rebelled, but Rao didn't blink. That leap dismantled the licence Raj and altered India's destiny. Atal Bihari Vajpayee pushed telecom revolution, the Golden Quadrilateral, and disinvestment. All faced resistance. All succeeded. The present government has also delivered reforms. GST created a unified market. IBC gave India credible corporate resolution. Digital reforms transformed financial inclusion. Yet some reforms stumbled. Farm laws were withdrawn. Labour codes remain unnotified. Land reforms untouched. The farm laws case is instructive. Dr. Santhakumar argues they weren't flawed. They were necessary. Punjab's wheat consumes 16 litres of water per kilogram. Unsustainable. The failure was implementation. Instead of building trust, the government rushed them through without consensus. Bihar abolished APMC years ago. Madhya Pradesh's Ichupals gave farmers direct market access. Productivity there now outstrips Punjab's. The direction was right. Trust was missing. Then came opportunity. Trump's tariff war on China opened doors. Vietnam, Thailand, Bangladesh moved quickly. India hesitated. COVID-19 widened the window, exposing China's dominance, spurring the China Plus One strategy. Vietnam and Thailand capitalized. India moved too slowly. Dr. Santhakumar's conclusion: when leaders risk, India rises. When they hesitate, India stalls. Today, reforms appear as trial balloons, withdrawn at the first protest that erodes credibility. The world still wants a China Plus One partner. India can seize that role if it acts. Notify labour codes, push land reforms, greenlight GM seeds, invest in infrastructure, lead in green energy. These aren't new ideas, they're delayed promises. What's missing is conviction. History rewards leaders who risk. The question is whether India's leaders will seize reform with courage or let opportunity slip away once more. Reform defines the long game, but immediate pressures demand immediate responses. Mr. Jackson David examines two big forces colliding right now: American interest rate policy and trade tariffs, and how India is navigating both. Start with the Federal Reserve. Chair Jerome Powell hinted at rate cuts coming soon. Why? Job creation in the US has slowed sharply, down to just 35,000 new jobs a month since May. Unemployment is still low at 4.2%, but the Fed wants to act before things worsen. The catch? Inflation is still running at 2.4%. Above their target tariffs are partly to blame for that. Which brings us to the tariffs. On August 27th, the Trump administration slapped 50% tariffs on Indian goods, one of the highest rates anywhere. The reason? India keeps buying oil from Russia, which the US sees as undermining sanctions. The damage is focused. Textiles, gems and jewelry, shrimp exports. These industries now face duties so high they can't compete. Indian shrimp, worth $2 billion a year in exports, suddenly costs more than Canadian or Chilean shrimp that face no tariffs at all. But here's the interesting part. Pharmaceuticals and semiconductors, worth nearly $20 billion combined, got exempted. Both countries need each other too much in those areas. Mr. Jackson notes the irony. These tariffs will hurt the US too. Economic models predict they'll shave 0.5 percentage point off American growth and push unemployment up. So, how is India responding? With a bold tax reform. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced a complete GST overhaul, simplifying the old 4-tier system down to just 2 rates, 5% and 18%. It kicks in September 22nd, right before the festive season. The timing isn't accidental. Lower taxes mean more money in people's pockets, which should boost spending during Navratri and Diwali. The markets reacted cautiously at first. Stocks dropped 1.8% when tariffs were announced, but they've steadied. As the GST details came through, banks aren't too exposed. Only 4 to 6% of their lending touches tariff-hit sectors. Export companies in textiles and seafood will struggle, but companies focused on domestic sales could benefit, as consumers have more to spend. Meanwhile, the Reserve Bank of India is staying calm. Unlike the Fed, which is just starting to cut rates, the RBI already cut aggressively earlier this year. A full percentage point, Governor Sanjay Malhotra says they're done for now. Inflation is projected at just 3.1% for the year, comfortably on target. Growth forecasts remain solid at 6.5%. Mr. Jackson's takeaway. When the US tightens money and raises trade barriers at the same time, it creates real pressure on countries like India. The rupee weakens. Investment gets cautious. But India's response shows flexibility, using domestic policy to counter external shocks. The GST reform, timed with festive demand, turns a defensive moment into an opportunity. Reform and response, long-term vision and immediate strategy. Dr. Santhakumar reminds us that India's greatest leaps forward have always come from leaders willing to risk political capital for the nation's future. Mr. Jackson David shows us how, even under external pressure, smart domestic policy can turn challenge into opportunity. The thread connecting both. India's path isn't predetermined. It's shaped by choices, bold ones, strategic ones, timely ones. Our thanks to Dr. C.A. Santhakumar K. and Jackson David C. for their contributions to this issue of Management Voice. This episode of Management Voice, the audio edition, is brought to you by Leo Group, Federal Bank, Elite Mission Hospital, Box Push India Private Limited, and Hycon, partners in progress, committed to excellence. You've been listening to Management Voice, brought to you by the Thrissur Management Association. In our next episode, we continue exploring the forces shaping India's trajectory. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected.